I just need to win two rounds. I think if I can win 2 rounds, that would pretty much do it, even if he did win the race.
You just got to go round by round and try to race every car you run and let the cars fall where they're going to fall. You know, if you get to worrying about who you're going to run next round or where he's going, you know, then you get all messed up.
We're coming down here with the attitude we have to win the race, but in all honesty, qualify and win first round, and we're beyond where Larry can touch us.
We're pretty hungry for this deal. It's Mark's second time and second year at it, and I think we're going to go for it. We got a pretty good chance at it.
Against a backdrop of autumn fire in the Appalachian Mountains, there's a storm brewing. A classic hill country feud. Nestled in the hills near Bristol, Tennessee, Thunder Valley will host the battle for the title of world champion. Final eliminations and championship weekend in the Valley has gotten off to a shocking start at the Scotchgard Automotive Protectors Fall National.
Hello once again, everyone. I'm Bob Barsha, along with ESPN drag racing analyst Ted Jones. Welcome to Thunder Valley for the final event in our ESPN coverage of IHRA professional drag racing in 1991. And the big news in the Valley is what you see behind me. The top fuel dragster of two-time IHRA world champion Gene Snow being loaded up. Now, Gene may yet win the 1991 title, but Ted, he's going to have to do it from the sidelines.
Indeed, Bob. Everyone in the pro pits is in shock. Gene Snow, two-time world champion and defending Fall National champion, is not in the field. Neither is his best friend, Eddie Hill, also from Texas. The end result, well, it's very important to Pat Dakin. Pat Dakin could win the world championship, but it's a long shot. In order to do it, he has to win this event, set the ET record and the mile-per-hour record. Not too likely, Bob.
We've got great championship battles going in all of our professional categories in this final event of the year. For more on qualifying action now, let's meet the third member of our broadcast team once again, Brett Kepner.
Well, gentlemen, you're absolutely right. The upsets that we saw in Top Fuel qualifying should indicate that the upsets that could happen here on race day might be even wilder. Now, the points races for the World Championships are up for grabs in all 4 categories, although I will admit it would be a major, major shock for Pat Dakin to win the race in Top Fuel and set both ends of the world records, which he needs to beat Gene Snow. But in Pro Stock Eliminator, you remember 1 year ago when Doug Kirk finished second in the world by 5 points. That's half of one qualifying position. Well, this time around, Kirk may have an advantage. He's behind Ricky Smith in race points, but Smith will not be receiving bonus points because he missed an event earlier this year. So if Ricky loses before the second round and Kirk stays in, it's over. Now, in Pro Modified Eliminator, Canadian Al Billis, who's been on the rampage for the last couple of events, must make it to the final and have Scotty Cannon's Onset 40 Chevy lose before the second round to have a chance. But the most interesting story might be in Pro Alcohol Funny Car. Mark Thomas in the Ethanol Performs Daytona, trying to get a second straight world championship, has suffered a serious back injury at this event. The doctor's preliminary report says it may be a slipped disc. So Mark is in big-time agony just trying to qualify here. Now, in eliminations, he must see Larry Dobbs go all the way to the final, and Thomas would have to lose in the first round for things to change and for the Canadian to get the world title here. Now, the other factor here is the weather. It's cool, and it's cooler than it's been in qualifying, so the drivers have no idea how to set up the cars. That's going to make it a total free-for-all. Bob, what are the weather stats?
Well, let's take a look, Brett. We have 51 degrees cool here in the Tennessee Hills. A light breeze, mostly sunny. We expect no rain today. Humidity is very low. That means lots of horsepower, lots of breakouts. Now, the points coming in, Ted.
Well, Ricky Smith appears to have about a 200-point lead over Doug Kirk, but that's a little deceptive because Ricky does not get the bonus attendance point. So actually, at this point, Kirk is ahead. Let's go back to first round and look at Ricky Smith running against Billy Ewing. Ricky is running for his life.
As Brett said, all that Doug Kirk needed was for Ricky Smith to lose in the first round, and lo and behold, he did.
That's it. Doug Kirk now only has to win about 1 round. Billy Ewing with a 7:18. And in earlier first round action, here's Doug Kirk. He needs to win this round to win the world championship.
And what a ride he gave it. 7.09 seconds. And Brett talked with the new champion afterward.
After the frustration at this event 1 year ago for you, this is a big one. Ricky goes out. Actually, from sheer race points, Ricky is still in the lead, but you made every race this year, therefore you get the perfect attendance bonus points. And by the way, new track record, 7:09 with a 2.
I'll tell you what, they come back and ask us what pair we wanted, and Billy Ewing's been beat by Ricky enough this year, and I was just hoping that that would help me. And when Billy beat Ricky, it just eased the pressure. Now I just hope we can race today.
Well, they're in the same half of the ladder, so we'll see whether Billy Ewing will meet Doug Kirk. In our first matchup in Pro Stock quarterfinals, there is Tim Neighbors out of Lawrenceville, Georgia. His opponent, the man we just watched knock off the world champion, Billy Ewing, a neighbor of Tim's from Snellville, Georgia.
Well, indeed, Ewing did bump off Ricky, but foremost on his mind right now has to be the fact that young Tim Neighbors bumped off Floyd Cheek, the number 2 qualifier at this event.
Neighbors in a 91 Trans Am with 732 cubic inches of Chevy power. Ewing in a 91 Olds Cutlass with a 750 cubic inch mountain motor. They are away cleanly. Ewing in the right lane, Neighbors on the left. Looks like Ewing has a bit of an advantage as they run to the light.
Ewing a 7.19, 194 miles per hour. Sensational. Look at the photo finish on this. Ewing has him by about a half a car length.
And he got it all at the tree because Neighbors actually had the quicker run. Our next matchup, Harold Denton against Terry Adams. Number 4 in the points against number 3. There's a good look at the resident of North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, also driving a Pontiac, as is Harold, who earlier this year became the first pro stocker in history to run under 7 seconds. He did it at Darlington, South Carolina. And a red light for Harold in the party time car. Terry Adams will have a walkover.
Well, not Harold's weekend. As a matter of fact, he qualified number 16. The guy that was the first in the 6th barely made the field.
Now here comes Steve Williford in the car that took Tommy Mooney to the World Championship a year ago. Mooney is out of the car. Young Steve Williford, son of the car owner, is in. His opponent will be Joe Folgore, probably the Cinderella story of this weekend from Colts Neck, New Jersey.
Folgore has turned in to the officials that he's running a 498 cubic inch engine. That's almost a small block in IHRA Pro Stock racing. There's no way Bobby qualified with a 718.
Williford twists in the air off the starting line. Folgore has the advantage and beats him.
Folgore with a 712, 194 miles per hour. I know that's not a 498 now.
Well, the officials will take a look at that car. Now, here is Doug Kirk, who, with that loss by Ricky Smith, combined with Doug's win in the first round, has made him world champion. His opponent, Billy Huff.
Huff, the young sensation from Shepherdsville, Kentucky, dropped out Carlton Phillips in the first round.
You heard Doug Kirk tell Brett Kepner that all he wanted to do now was win the race. Now that he has the championship, Huff is really giving him a race and beats him.
Billy Huff, a 7.11, 195 miles per hour. That young king is hot. Look at the finish line difference, 2 feet.
I'll tell you, you were nice enough to let Doug Kirk win the World Championship. Then you turned right around and taught him how to race again. 7:11 and 7:12 side by side. The 09 in the first round was awesome, but that's the quickest run of the round.
Oh, well, Doug's a great guy, and he's a great racer, but I'm glad I finally beat him.
I'll tell you, you've got to look at it this way. You're the first man to beat the 92 world champ.
I thought about that back there in the staging lane. It feels great.
By virtue of the quicker ET, happy Billy Huff will have lane choice in his matchup with Billy Ewing in the semifinals. Joe Folgore, really becoming the sensation of this drag race, will take on Terry Adams with lane choice. When we return to Bristol International Dragway, Alcohol Funny Cars up next. Welcome back to Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee in the IHRA Fall Nationals. Bob Varsha and Ted Jones with you. Coming into this round in Alcohol Funny Cars, Mark Thomas with a narrow lead over Larry Dobbs, and they needed to mirror each other for Thomas to claim the championship. If he won, Dobbs would need to win to stay with him. If he lost, he needed Dobbs to lose. In the first round, Mark Thomas from Louisville, Ohio, went up against Jerry Gully and got the surprise of his career.
Actually, Mark Thomas a little late off the line. He ran a 6:10 to Gully's 6:14, but the 6:14 won it as Gully left first.
A huge victory for Gully, who hails from nearby Kingsport, Tennessee. And this was one great drag race. Let's take another look at our ESPN photo finish camera, maybe 3 feet. Now, with Thomas having lost, what would Larry Dobbs do? He goes in against Melinda Green, and what do you know? Dobbs been out of shape, having some problems, and Melinda Green pulls it out. That gives the World Championship to Mark Thomas.
Melinda, you just played a big, big part in this for Mark Thomas. You beat Dobbs on a hole shot, a 6.26 to a losing 23, but you couldn't have made this guy any more happier.
All right. Congratulations.
I gotta at least give you a hug.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Good
I
job,
appreciate
Mark.
it. Thank you very much, and good luck, too.
Oh, thanks. We'll need it.
And we move on now to quarterfinal action, and we will see Scott Wenny going up against Ricky Bowie.
Scott Waney, a relatively newcomer to the IHRA trail, has everyone wondering here this weekend. Believe me, he's got the attention of everybody because he qualified a big #1.
And with the World Championship already decided, it really sets this competition wide open. From Greenwood, South Carolina, Ricky Bowie in the far lane.
Boy, a very colorful character. Little wheel stand there, and he's got some problems. Bowie into the guardrail, loses half of the body, appears to have the car under control, now sliding along the guardrail.
Just shearing off the left side of that car. You saw the fiberglass and Kevlar bodywork absolutely shattered. Look at that mess down at the big end.
Looks like half of the car is missing. Actually, the important part is that the roll cage is intact. All that's missing is half of the body.
The PTS rescue crew on the scene immediately. That's a good point, Ted. The bodywork is much wider than the car. Actually, it's right along the center line that all of the safety equipment is located, and that is meant to protect the driver.
To the novice viewer, it could look like this was a horrendous accident, and you would think for sure there was some personal injury there. Let's watch carefully, though, because these roll cages stand up, and there comes Ricky up out of the car. He appears to be unscathed.
On a guardrail, man. Okay? Yeah. Come on, let's take a seat.
Now look at the guardrail. Incredible force. As we take another look, Ricky Bowie carried the front wheels down the strip. When he got it back down, the car got out of shape and it went right for the wall.
He's into the guardrail. You see the car actually airborne up in the air. Now some flames and fire, sparks. The car comes back down, settles down on the drag strip. He's still trying to get it under control. Goes across the yellow line. More sparks as the portions of the body begin to rub the asphalt. He's into the guardrail, back off again. Another look at it from a different camera angle, Bob.
And here you can see just how radical that car got.
Actually, Ricky Bowie should shut down completely at this point and try and get the car under control. There's the impact right with that guardrail. This actually could be saving his life, pushing him back onto that asphalt surface. You need that hard surface underneath you, because if something digs into a soft material, he can start flipping and rolling. He's staying on all fours. Notice two drag slicks touring completely off the car, spinning out behind it there. He's now down on the bare wheels, sliding down the drag strip.
Boy, anytime I'm on TV, I get exciting stuff. All right.
It is a heck of a way to get on TV. You feel all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Hate we screwed the car up so bad.
It was sideways, and obviously I know you were chasing Scott.
We must have lost some oil or something there, because it get real slick in high gear and just went over against the guardrail and tried to keep it off. Couldn't do it.
Such a tragedy with that car, as beautiful as it was, but you got to admit, it held up beautifully.
Well, what you call that beautiful?
You slammed the wall hard, my friend.
Yeah, well, we run nitro, so I'm glad it was a lot better than a nitro crash.
Yeah.
Didn't have no fire or nothing.
That's for sure. I'm glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Well, obviously, after that accident to Ricky Bowie, Scott Waney will advance into the semifinals in Al Call Funny Car. Elsewhere, Robert Sweet beat Jerry Gully to advance to meet Waney. Melinda Green knocked off Terry Mullins. She will meet Doug Hearsum in the semifinals. After a quick break, we'll be back to Bristol with Top Fuel. Thunder Valley. It's time now for the 5,000 horsepower antics of Top Fuel. As we get into the quarterfinals, here's a look at Wayne Bailey, former Rookie of the Year in Top Fuel from Lake Orion, Michigan. His opponent, Diesel John Carey from Dover, Delaware. I mentioned at the top of the show we might see breakouts. Of course, the pros do not break out the way the sportsman drivers can. What I mentioned was we might see a hazing of the hides, and John Carey does it right at the start, and then Bailey blows up.
Bailey looked like he blew a supercharger, also wiped out the photocells down at the finish line. But nevertheless, he'll be the winner. I bet Kerry's about to die because all he did is set the clutch wrong on this thing. Now watch what happens with the wrong clutch setting. Ooh, the smoke. He goes straight up in smoke and thinks he's lost the race. Now he doesn't know that right there, Wayne Bailey is going to lift a blower, and he could have beat him.
In fact, if the other guy breaks, it doesn't matter how long it takes you to get to the far end. Now there's a look at Doug McCann out of Owensville, Mississippi. Listen to the sound of this engine. The only overhead cam engine you'll find in Top Fuel, and it doesn't look like this one's working too well, Ted.
McCann's got a problem. He's idling completely through the quarter mile, and that means he is going to forfeit that race. A problem for Doug McCann and the McGee-powered entry.
Richard Langston from Carson City, Nevada will have a bye run, but he puts his foot in it pretty well, and then he lifts at the far end.
Well, he needs to save the motor. He goes a 6:45. A wise decision on Langston's part, because I doubt if he could get lane choice anyway.
Now here comes Butch Blair from Martinez, California, who will go up against one of the oldest hands in Top Fuel, Jack Ostrander from Pontiac, Michigan.
Pontiac Jack, I talked to him earlier in the program, and he is on top of the world. He qualified number 2.
There's a look into Butch Blair's cockpit and that 5,000 horsepower engine.
Blair qualified with a 667, Pontiac Jack with a 540 hot box.
Good clean start. Oh, but then Jack hazes the tire. Blair will have an easy victory.
They're having a problem setting these clutches today. Blair with a 572 to take the win. Pontiac Jack again did not get the clutch set right.
Now looky here at the top of our show. You saw Gene Snow loading it back up, but here he is in the elimination.
Oh, surprise, surprise. Well, what happened is Freddie Farndon, the number 8 qualifier, broke, and that allowed Snow to come in on the alternate rule.
There's his opponent, Pat Dakin, the former world champion from Dayton, Ohio.
We have 2 former world champions on the line now. Believe me, Snow is going to try and ensure that world championship. Remember, Dakin had to win the event and set both ends of the record. Snow said, I'll put an end to that right here and now. I'm in as an alternate. If Dakin goes out, it's over. Snow's won it.
There's a good look at the oil man from Fort Worth, Texas. There's a look at Pat Dakin. All he has to do is beat Gene Snow here, and he's got a big leg up on his job this weekend. He still has a shot at the World Championship. They are side by side. Number 2 against number 1, and Dakin breaks.
Dakin breaks. Gene Snow is the world champion. He wins this round with a 5:14, 274. Sensational. Look one more time. There you see the telltale smoke out of the motor for Pat Dakin.
I'll tell you, you've always done well at this racetrack, but this one took every conceivable bit of luck. Getting in as an alternate, and Dakin was driving like you've never seen. He was sideways all over. You went the second quickest run in the history of this racetrack, 5:14.
Holy cow, I knew it was hooked up pretty good, and I could see him over there. He left on me, which just kills me. But anyway, he was out there about a half a car. I pulled up there beside him, and I said, oh, my gosh, this thing going to get around. All of a sudden, it took off in high gear, and, I mean, it was really getting high gear. It's all it's got. But, I mean, down there on the big end. It was super. The Mopar Missile did it again.
And so it'll be the Mopar Missile against Wayne Bailey. Gene Snow will have lane choice in the semifinals. Butch Blair will have lane choice in his matchup with Richard Langston. We will be back with Pro Modified when we return to back at the IHRA Scotchgard Automotive Protectors Fall Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee. Greg Kepner is down in the pits with the aftermath of Wayne Bailey's engine explosion.
Well, Wayne Bailey's first-round explosion against John Kerry was a big one, but it wasn't the engine that caused the problem. It was the rear end locking up. And how bad did the blower get hurt? That's how bad. It blew every stud off, and obviously this thing is hurt. They'll have to swap superchargers, check the engine for damage, and replace the broken rear end. That was the cause of the whole problem.
And so Wayne Bailey's crew hard at it. Let's take a look at Pro Modified points coming in, Ted.
Well, Scotty Cannon has a very comfortable 560-point lead over the Canadian Al Billies. However, anything can happen in drag racing. Scotty needs to win a couple of rounds. Going back to round 1 action, here goes Scotty against Chris Hunt.
Cannon with that wild 1940 Chevy body style with 698 inches of Pontiac power, nitrous assisted, and he wins that round he needed.
Easy with a 6.88. Very impressive.
Well, your crew knew it down here waiting for you, but so do you. You know that pretty much clinched the whole deal. It's still theoretically possible for Billis to do it if he sets both ends of the record, but right now you're pretty much unofficially world champ.
Yeah, well, we figured we got to go be the fastest car out next round, but I believe I got a motor. I got to go to work.
Okay, we'll see you in the pit.
Yeah, thanks.
Scotty Cannon is busy whether he has something to work on or not. Wait, Scotty, take the car with you, fella. Elsewhere in the first round, in the near lane, Randy Moore in that wild Asti Spumani Lamborghini bodywork up against Blake Wiggins.
Oh, Randy's on a run. Look at this in the first round. A new world record, 6.74, 209.
It finally made 2 runs in a row.
Finally.
New world ET record, 674.8, and more importantly, a 209.12 mile-an-hour speed. That's one end of a world record. You can use that for a backup.
That's excellent. I'll tell you, this Asti Lamborghini is finally coming together here at the end of the season.
It took you all year to do it, too. You've had a rough one.
It has been a long one. It's the hardest rookie season I've seen in a while.
Now you got to make 3 in a row.
You got that right. 3 more passes, and we're heading home.
Good luck.
Thank you, Brett.
In fact, Randy Moore's not the fastest car here. First alternate, Todd Tutterow, went 210 miles an hour. Let's get to the quarterfinals now. Here's Rob Vandergriff out of Knoxville, Tennessee. They call these cars door slammers. That would look more like a door stop. His opponent, Ed Hoover from Columbia, South Carolina.
Hoover has to be considered a heavy 2 in this field. Bobby qualified number 2 with a brilliant 6.87.
There you see Rob Vandergriff. He's got that radical 57 Chevy Bel Air body style. Hoover, however, in a very, very stock-looking Camaro. Vandergriff carries the front wheels off the line. He's way over on the left side of the drag strip, but he makes a race out of it.
Hoover picks up the win. Vandergriff had to lift Hoover at 692, 202 miles per hour. Take one more look at it. Boy, what a hole shot for Robbie Vandergriff. He had it going. Now the car starts serious drifting problems, skating around. Look at the black mark behind the car indicating tire slippage, and that's what won the race for Hoover.
Our next matchup, here's a radical-looking Camaro. This is the original Pro Modified, if you will, the father of the class, Bill Coolman from Wentzville, Missouri. A 1991 Chevy Camaro, 698 cubic inches of Chevy power. He's up against Al Billis from Toronto, Canada, in a 91 Camaro with a slightly smaller 632 cubic inch Chevy.
Well, the Canadian qualified number 4 with a 688.
This is number 2, Billis against number 7, Coolman in the points. Billis is having a hard time of it, but he's got the victory.
Al Billis pulls it out, and he needs it if he's to stay on Scotty Cannon's trail. A 6.86, very impressive.
Now here's the man himself, and Scotty Cannon can clinch the World Championship with this round. He got all that engine work done that he needed, he hopes. His opponent, though, is no slouch. The world champion, the one world champion this class has seen since it was begun a year ago, Tim McCamus from Moscow Mills, Missouri. Before they get at it, let's get down to the big end and Brett.
Bristol's always tricky, but you're not used to being able to put down this much power here. 686 will get you into the semis and keep your hopes alive, presuming Cannon has to lose in this round, really, to give you a chance.
I know that. It's a long shot, but it's fun. I hope it happens. Everybody does. That's why we're here, right?
Well, we'll see what happens. This has got to be a little tense for you.
Oh, yeah, but I'm having fun. I can't even speak, you know. It's great.
Boy, tell me these guys don't get wound up going 210 miles an hour. Let's pick up the action now with Cannon and McCamus.
McCamus qualified number 3 with a 688, so Cannon's got his hands full.
They are side by side at half track. Little smoke from Cannon's motor again, but he gets the victory.
Very close, Scotty Cannon, 6.84, 199 miles an hour. He won the World Championship in style.
Now here comes the new ET World Record holder, Randy Moore, out of Piney Flats, Tennessee. His opponent in this round, Gary Grainer from Elma, New York. There you see Grainer, who knocked off Ronnie Sox in the first round. Radical rear wing on Grainer's car, but a fairly stock body shape on that 67 Camaro. Let's meet the new world champion right now with Brett Kepner.
How much did you have to do in the last round?
Just go through it and put pistons in it. We're going to go to work again.
That's for sure. Here's Tim McCamus. Tim, that's the way to go out if you're going to go out. You gave him the world championship on that one, 684 to 685.
It was a good run. I had it last year, and I knew it come down to this run, so I'm really glad for Scotty. And
I didn't know who won when we crossed the finish line, so it was a good race.
If nothing else, that gives you, I believe, a pretty solid lock on third place. So it's not too bad for the first 2 years you ever drove.
No, not so bad.
Good job.
Way to go, Scotty.
And with that, what would you expect Scotty Cannon to do? Run. Here's another look at the championship finish, Ted.
Very close indeed. Typical of the action we've seen all year here on ESPN with Pro Modified Racing.
And this matchup is a good example of the diversity of the Pro Modified class. A blown Lamborghini, actually powered by an Oldsmobile engine, up against a stock-looking 67 Camaro body with a huge rear wing, and Grainer will take the record holder.
Absolutely incredible. Randy Moore turned in a 680, Grainer a slower 684. Look how close it was at the finish line. Randy, you were asleep.
Grainer will have lane choice by virtue of the quicker ET over Al Billis in the semifinals. Scotty Cannon will take on Eddie Hoover. Cannon to have lane choice. Now here's Brett Kepner with a track fact.
Just about everywhere you look in the Top Fuel Dragster pits, you'll find some form of experimentation. And in Wayne Bailey in the Bailey and Hiller Top Fuel Dragster pit area is no exception. Something brand new here at the Scotchgard Fall Nationals are these exhaust headers that you'll see on this particular machine. The old-style exhaust headers used to sweep back towards the tires, trying to blow debris off the tires and even heat them up with the exhaust header flame to gain traction. These straight-up pipes, however, may be reminiscent of something you might see at a truck and tractor pull. Straight up in the air in this case, however, for crew chief Jerry Newman means more downforce. They're actually using the exhaust pressure coming out of these pipes to push the car down to the ground. Jerry Newman says as much as 100 pounds of downforce per pipe. It's just a little less work that the rear wing has to do on the Bailey and Hiller Top Fueler.
Well, sometimes some of the best engineering is just common sense. We'll be back in a moment with Pro Stock Semifinals. On a beautiful fall afternoon at the Fall Nationals in Bristol, Tennessee, Pro Stock semifinals are up. Here's a look at the bright yellow car of Terry Adams. His opponent in this round, Joe Folgore, out of Colts Neck, New Jersey. Now, Folgore, remember, is the guy who says that's a 498 Oldsmobile under the hood. Ted, you have your doubts.
Yeah, right. If that's true, Terry Adams is only running 300 cubic engines. Look at Folgore leave the line. No, that is not a little engine bomb.
Folgore with the victory, 714, 194 miles an hour, and it was that close. Let's get down to the big end and Brett.
I'm not used to this.
The Bumblebee wins, 7:14. Adams got out of the groove and had to slow. You think you're proving something here with the only 5-speed against a big motor?
Yeah, I really can't say that. Just the high altitude really could use a 5-speed. You know, we put in a computer, and the computer showed us 200 difference. And it's helping out somewhat.
I'll tell you, a lot of people in IHRA Mountain Motor Pro Stock Racing were scared of that thing, and I think you're proving that their fears were unwarranted.
Well, we got a little tire shake that time. You know, we're trying.
Man, it's unbelievable. First ever final round, your first event switching to the big motor. This thing is sailing.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it myself.
We'll see what happens in the final. Congratulations so far.
Thank you.
Now, keep in mind, these cars are running at 2,350 pounds, so Joe Folgore is really accomplishing something this weekend. There you see Billy Ewing, his opponent, Billy Huff.
Billy Huff, the young sensation from Ohio Valley Raceway near Louisville, Kentucky, and you can bet Ewing is plenty worried. But remember, Ewing has the biggest pro stock motor in the world, 750 inches.
Huff carries the wheels off the starting line. He beat Doug Kirk, the new world champion in the previous round. He comes back and
Billy Ewing, his quickest run of the weekend, a 7:15, 195. Look at it one more time. It's horsepower time as the big 750 pays off past him on top end to take the win.
And with that, Billy Ewing will move into his 10th IHRA Pro Stock final against Joe Folgore in his very first. We move on now to alcohol funny cars. There is Scott Sweeney, who moved into the semifinals when his opponent, Ricky Bowie, had that huge crash. His opponent, Robert Sweet.
Sweeney qualified very impressively #1 with a 6.18. Meanwhile, Sweet didn't do too bad himself, a 6.26 that landed him in the #6 position.
There you see Sweet backing in, who beat Jerry Gully in the previous round. Sweet hails from Sterling, Massachusetts.
Remember, heat's not a problem with these alcohol cars. Actually, they make a little bit more horsepower if they can build up some heat in these motors.
Two beautiful paint jobs on these cars as they creep in and stage.
Listen to the high RPM they come off the line with.
And Weenie will advance to the final.
Impressive. A 6:08, 230 miles per hour. Weenie is flying.
Now here is Doug Hearsum from Lisle, Ontario, Canada. He will be going up against Melinda Green, one of two women in the field today. Bunny Burkett lost in the quarterfinals. Melinda knocked off Larry Dobbs, then beat Terry Mullins, and she is now in the semis.
Melinda, very impressive at this event. Her first IHRA event this year, she ran a 6:28 in qualifying. She followed that with a 6:26 and then slowed down when Mullins broke, so that time is insignificant. She is a definite contender and could go into the finals here.
Doug Hearsum, the only driver in the top 10 in points to make it out of the first round. Number 1, Mark Thomas was beaten. Number 2, Larry Dobbs. Number 4, Tony Bogelow. Number 6, Scott Weiss. It was a bloody first round in alcohol funny cars. Now, Hearsum will try to uphold top 10 honors against Melinda Green.
He's running about the same ET range as she is. It may be who left on the starting line. Oh, Green bent out of shape. It's over, Bob. Hearsum will go into the final.
Boy, when that horsepower gets down onto that concrete launch pad, you've really got to keep her straight. Lane choice will go to Scott Weenie in his final round matchup with Doug Hearsum in alcohol funny cars. Now let's get back down to Scotty Cannon's pit and Brett.
Well, believe it or not, going into the semifinal round, there is still a long shot chance for Al Billis to win the World Championship. He's got to set both ends of the world record, and Scotty Cannon would have to lose in this next round. In fact, be the slowest of two losers for Al Billis to pull it off. As far as Canada's concerned, as you can see, they've got everybody working on this particular piece, including the man who created the power plant for the Onset 40 Chevy, the one and only Gene Fulton. Now, if you don't think you got to lean on pieces in Pro Mod to win, when was the last time you saw a carbureted gas-burning car burn a piston like this?
I don't think I've seen an ICBM burn anything like that, Brett. We'll be back to see if Scotty Cannon got it all bolted together properly. Back at the Fall Nationals, semifinal action in Pro Modified. There is Ed Hoover, who will go into this round against Scotty Cannon. Now, as Brett mentioned, Cannon is not out of the woods with that World Championship yet. He can assure himself of it if he wins this round, but he has been having motor troubles all day, Ted.
Yes, he has, but Cannon's been going faster, Bob. He qualified with a 692 in the first round. He went a 688, followed that with a 684, so he's going quicker. On the other hand, Hoover qualified with a 687, then slowed to a 693, followed that with a 92.
Hoover gets the car staged. Cannon with a great start, carries the wheels a little bit of a way. They are side by side. Now Hoover pulls up.
Top end, Ed Hoover, the no-fair car, going away. Look at that, a 684. Where did he find that ET?
Well, now that makes this interesting. Canadian Al Billis still is alive in the championship. Here's his opponent, Gary Grainer. Before they get at it, let's get down to the big end and Brett.
I'll tell you, the 92s in the first two rounds proved that you had the power, but this one unloaded big time. 684. You beat Cannon 690. And believe it or not, if Cannon ends up being the slowest winner of this round and Billis somehow manages to set both ends of the record, you may have just blown his World Championship hopes, but it's a long shot.
I hope I didn't. I think Scotty's got it wrapped up. I hate to outrun him, but I got to do all I can do. It's late in the year.
That's right. Got to talk to all those sponsors in the offseason. Grainer in the far lane, who knocked off Randy Moore, the new class ET world record holder in the previous round. Al Billis has it all on his shoulders right now. Great launch for both cars. They're side by side. Billis has got to get moving. No.
Grainer quicker than Cannon, 6.83. Absolutely incredible. Who is this guy?
Well, Ed Hoover's about to find out. It'll be Grainer versus Hoover in the final.
I'll tell you, here we are talking about Ed Hoover, 684, and we think that's neat. 683 this time, beating Al Billis' 685.
I almost took my foot out of it about third gear. It started shaking, and it was all over the track.
First ever final round.
Feels great. Feels great.
I'll tell you, you got lane choice, too. You beat Billis, you got Hoover coming up in the final, and you got an advantage over him. That's awesome.
I'm going to take the left lane, I think.
Well, that's the lane that he said he was in.
That was his lane this morning, so it'll be ours now.
We'll see what happens. Good luck.
Thanks.
Well, Grainer and Hoover get ready for their final. Let's pick up Top Fuel semifinals now. Here is Richard Langston out of Carson City, Nevada, going up against Butch Blair from Martinez, California.
Blair's not even supposed to be here. He qualified number 7 and bumped off number 2, Jack Ostrander, in the first round. Langston, on the other hand, should be here. He qualified number 3. He should win this round.
Well, that's what racing is all about. Upsets. There's a good look into Blair's helmet. Watching the few gauges that these fuel cars actually carry. Radical front-end treatment on Blair's car. He breaks at the starting line. Langston's all over the racetrack. Can he get it straight?
He managed to keep it between the yellow lines. That'll give him the victory with a non-impressive 595. Back at the starting line, a very dejected Butch Blair.
See him yanking off the straps. He broke right there. You saw the flash out of the headers.
Look at the driving job right here, though. He is almost completely sideways. He doesn't know where Blair's at. He's afraid to lift. He's afraid Blair will come whizzing past him.
Amazing driving job from Richard Langston. Here's a look from behind Langston at the starting line.
Watch this car go into tire spin coming off the concrete path. Look at those 2 fumes of white smoke blowing off of the rear slick. Almost crosses the center line. Down on top end, Brett talks with it.
You just proved that fuel-altered driving experience will come in handy. This thing was everywhere. You probably didn't know that Butch Blair lifted a supercharger right off the line, but you were darn close to crossing the center line.
Yeah, I know I was. I was really worried. I could see that line coming, and I came to the other side, and I thought, boy, he's probably right behind me. I had no idea he broke. So
it still went 595. I mean, it had power, even though it was smoking the tires heavily, and then it was all over.
Yeah, it was a good feeling. Frank Pfeiffer and the boys, the whole crew, did a wonderful job. You know, we just had a little more power than the track would take. And it's time for a break. These guys have been working all year, and it's nice to go to the final because they needed some breaks.
So we have another first-time finalist in Richard Langston. Now let's see who will meet. You just saw Gene Snow heating up the tires. Here is Wayne Bailey, who just about took the blower off his car in the first round.
The Snowman, cool and calm. He's been here a lot of times. As a matter of fact, 21 to be exact. He backs into those hot, sticky tracks, and looks like we've got some problems here for Wayne Bailey. He can't get the car in reverse. The car will not kick in. The reverser is broken. He's going to have to idle straight through. Oh, what a tough break in the finals, Bob.
Tough break indeed, and that will wrap it up for Gene Snow. Let's see what kind of a show the Snowman decides to put on.
Knowing the Snowman, it'll be a class act. He's up on the slicks. He's got a good one going. Yes, 5:14, 277. That's style. That's Gene Snow.
And more importantly, not a breath of smoke off those tires. The Snowman is hooked up. He'll have lane choice against Richard Langston in the final. We'll be back with alcohol, funny cars, and more. Low over Bristol International Dragway at the IHRA Fall Nationals. Here's Brett Kepner.
With Joe Folgore's newfound Pro Stock stardom comes a startling revelation to a lot of the IHRA Pro Stock teams. Folgore is one of the only drivers at IHRA Pro Stock Racing using the air-controlled 4 or 5-speed transmission. Most of the IHRA teams have utilized the standard lever for each gear transmission for years. But this particular item is controlled by compressed air, and under IHRA rules, the driver has to make the shift manually himself. In this case, Joe Folgore does it with a button on the steering wheel, which changes the gears as he goes down the track much more accurately and at predetermined times than the more than unreliable transmissions that the driver has to make decisions with. The question is, with the success that we've seen here today, will this become standard equipment in 1992? Based on the way Joe's running, you gotta think so.
Absolutely, Brett. New steps in technology do not take long to spread around the pit. In our alcohol funny car final, Scott Weenie from Parkersport, Pennsylvania, will be going up against Doug Hearsum from Lyle, Ontario, Canada.
The real question is, does Scott Weenie have any more left in this car? In the most previous round, he ran a 6:08. Absolutely incredible. He's been running in the team, suddenly uncorked a 6:0. And for Doug Hearsum, well, that's bad news. He's been in the 20s all day.
Scott Weenie, one of a group of first-time finalists. Hearsum has been here before. Good start. carries the front wheels. Here's some drops behind it, half track, and Weedy will win it.
Oh, yes, he's got more. 6:06 for Scott Weedy. Incredible, 230 miles per hour.
And those are track records at both ends. We move on to the Pro Stock final. And first-time finalist Joe Folgore against Billy Ewing, who has been here 10 times. Second in the points chase in 1991. He's not up there this year. And you've got to wonder about this guy, Folgore, the bumblebee, Brett Kepner calls him.
Folgore, who claimed he had a 498 cubic inch engine. Actually, under the rules, you can have any size motor you want, so he can claim anything he wants to. We know he must be running around 700 inches.
Once again, good launches, and Folgore gets sideways. Billy Ewing will run it through to the victory.
Billy Ewing with an impressive victory, 7.15, 195 miles per hour. His second IHRA event win.
Well, tough break for Joe Folgore. Cinderella's clock struck 12 right here. He gets sideways right there at the launch pad, has to lift to get the car straightened up again. Billy Ewing keeps his foot in it with a great run. We'll be back with the finals in Top Fuel when we return to Thunder Valley. On championship weekend at Thunder Valley, it's time for the finals of Top Fuel. We've had first-time finalists in each of our professional classes. Here's a man who's anything but a rookie in a final. 17 final round victories for Gene Snow. He has his third world championship locked up. His opponent is in a final for the first time, Richard Langston. Now, all of our Top Fuel dragsters may look similar. They're actually, of the 8 cars in this class, 7 came from different chassis builders.
Langston has to be worried plenty right now. I mean, what do you do when you're against the Snowman? He just cranked out a 14, a real sight job.
Raw fuel coming from the headers. Langston lights them up, and experience tells once again. Gene Snow.
Easy win for the Snowman. 5.21, 270. He does it again, Bob.
We'll take another look at it. Off the line, headers ablaze. Gene Snow, just as in the previous round, very little tire smoke. He has those 5,000 horses all hooked up.
Well, I should have known that you weren't going to go out and try and run low ET of the world when you could win the race, and I presume that you got a little conservative there, right?
Yeah, everybody's wanting to know, can you run a 4? Can you go 280? And I said, if for some reason we're going to make a single, I'll really try, but we need to win the race. You know, all the guys want to win. I want to win. The sponsors want to win, so that's what we tried to do. And it ran what?
521, 270. It was perfect for the situation.
Pretty consistent. It felt real good. It was running pretty nice down here.
Yeah, Langston and Favor knew they had to step it up against you, and they stepped it up just a bit too much. It smoked the tires a little.
Did they really? Boy, I'm telling you, it's kind of a tough track, especially when it gets cool like this. I appreciate the fans and everybody waiting this late, and I hope it's been a good show for them. It is my favorite place. We were thinking of earlier, I think 1966, I ran a funny car here, so I've been coming to Bristol a long time.
Just to get into the show the way you did and to pull it off and then win the world championship on top of it, it's a Gene Snow deal.
Well, I'm telling you, it's just kind of an unbelievable dream come true. The IHRA championship, this is my 3rd time, and I mean, there's nothing better than winning, and here we are. I mean, Mopar's done a heck of a job for us, and we'll tell people, and Emily Oil, and our crew especially. Of course, Mike Brotherson's our crew chief, and you know, he won here last year, I guess, and he's going to maybe be driving again before long, and more power and good luck to him, and thanks to everybody.
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
18 victories in 21 finals for Gene Snow. For the 2nd straight race, he beats a first-time finalist. Now we're ready for Pro Modified. There is Ed Hoover, and he will meet a first-time finalist in this man, Gary Grainer.
Well, Grainer bumped off some big names. First round, he dropped Ronnie Sox, then Randy Moore, who just set a new world record, then Al Villas, who was number 2 in the points. This is Jack the Giant Killer.
We've had 3 first-time finalists in our 4 classes thus far. Only one of them has won. We'll see if Gary Grainer can make it an even 50-50.
You know the old saying, when you're hot, you're hot. Ed Hoover, incidentally, earlier won the Mountain Empire Chevy dealers Chevy Showdown. So he's on a roll.
Ed Hoover's still looking for his first national event victory this year, however. He has been a runner-up twice. Oh, and it's a red light for Grainer.
He redlighted by 2,000ths of a second. Ed Hoover will take the victory with a 679, 203. Very impressive victory.
Just 5 5/100ths of a second off of that new world record for Randy Moore. We'll be back with final thoughts from the Fall National. The end of a great weekend here at Thunder Valley in Bristol, Tennessee also signifies the end of a great season. Ted Jones, a look at final points.
Well, Gene Snow in Top Fuel locked up his third world championship with over a 1,000-point lead over Pat Dakin, who finished second, Pontiac Jack in third. And in Pro Modified, Scotty Kennedy, his first ever Pro Modified World Championship over Al Billis, and Randy Moore, the rookie, finished third. In Pro Stock, Doug Kirk, his first ever Pro Stock Championship. Ricky Smith finished second, Terry Adams in third place. And finally, in Alcohol Funny Car, Mark Thomas to his second consecutive victory over Larry Dobbs and Doug Hearsum. In our season-ending shootouts, the Kugel Aquafuel Clash was won by Doug Hearsum, and the Mountain Empire Chevy dealer Chevy Showdown was won by Ed Hoover.
We'll leave you with a look at our 4 Pro Class IHRA World Champions. In Top Fuel, Gene Snow adds his third title to those won in 1987 and 1988.
And in Pro Modified, a big salute goes to Scotty Cannon and the OnSat Magazine 1940 Chevrolet. He worked hard for it all year long, had to win 2 rounds, and finally locked it up.
2 rounds also did it for our new Pro Stock World Champion from Kermit, West Virginia, second-generation racer Doug Kirk, who lost the title a year ago by just 5 points, but made no doubt about it in 1991.
The only defending champion to repeat in the pro categories. Congratulations to the ethanol-sponsored car of Mark Thomas.
For Ted Jones and Brett Kepner, I'm Bob Barsha. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you when it all begins next year in Darlington. So long, everyone.